Momentum is the key to business, and it's so weird because how you get it, you don't really know. But if you do a lot of hard work and you get a little luck, every now and then you need an ounce of momentum. If you don't do anything and sit on your couch and you get flabby and lazy and you're just not doing anything cool, everyone's going to judge you for being lazy. And then if you're going to the gym and you're getting jacked and you're reading books, and you're working on your skills, and you're putting the time and you're grinding, they're going to say, look at this person. All they care about is how they look. So everyone's going to judge you no matter what. Most people are always focused on the outcome, and I only look at the effort. And I ask myself every single day, to this day when I go home, did I put in the work today to win? Welcome back to Be Wealthy with Brett Tanner. I am excited to be here with you today. I am beyond excited about today's episode, which is all about a question I get all the time. But before we jump in, I want to talk about our last episode. We went through 5 investments that you probably haven't heard of. And we went through different ways to think about them, because investing, it's all about what you know. And today the world's gotten to be a really big place, but there's so much information and connectivity that you're only one relationship, one podcast, or one book away from a total breakthrough. And so I want you to go back, and if you have not listened to that episode, go back and listen to it right now, because I'm going to tell you 5 investments. I've got my favorite one in there, which, spoiler alert, is hard money lending. But I'm going to walk you through the different asset classes, why I love them, and how I think you can participate in the assets that historically have been really reserved for the really, really wealthy, and kind of been in this kind of behind the curtain, and you couldn't get access to it. And so I want to give you access to it. I want to share with you what I'm doing. So go back and listen to that episode. As always, I'm joined by Cole, who we're still looking for a nickname for. Cole's here. God, great. Woohoo, Cole. We need a little more enthusiasm with those in the future, but something we could definitely work on.
There's a lot to manage at once here.
There's a lot to manage. But today, I'm going to cover a question I get asked all the time. And so as we jump in, Cole, the question I get is a version of this. How did you become successful? And the answer you hear most people say is some eloquent answer that sounds like, well, I worked really hard and I studied some things and I did some stuff, and then now it's all kind of happening. I pick up my phone and I make, millions of dollars per year. And I can tell you my journey was not that way. And yes, today, a version of doing some of the cool things I get to do, I get to speak on really cool stages with the biggest speakers in the world. And I get to travel to a really cool place and I get to do really cool things, but I started from absolutely nothing. So I think a better way to reframe that question is not what did I do to be successful, but what did I not do? You can actually learn so much more by what I didn't do than the things I did do. And so I want to go back and share with you the things I didn't do to become successful. And so I want to go back, and I want you to imagine that you grew up in a town. I'll set the stage for my scenario. I grew up in a town. I was 10 miles away from a town called Dove Creek. 10 miles away, it was a town. The population about 700 people. My high school graduating class is 17 people. Not the greatest education, poorest county in the state of Colorado. We actually could not go to school 5 days a week, Cole. I don't think you knew that story. But when I was about in 4th grade, the school came out and said, hey, if we actually don't go to school 5 days a week, we only go to school 4 days a week. The school doesn't have to run the buses. We'll have to go a little longer each day, but you won't have to go to school on Fridays. So my entire life from 5th grade on, I never went to school on a Friday, which was actually kind of cool. I don't know if it's the greatest educational thing, Cole, but was really cool for fun. And so I show up to ASU in the year of 1999. Cole, that's in the 1900s. Gets confusing for you hipsters there. Cole being hip, hip, hip. Cole was born, you were born in 99, Cole?
Great year.
Great year. Cole's born. That's when I went to college. Perfect. That's a lot of connectivity we have there. Great year. And I show up to a campus of 40,000 people. I'm excited to be there. And I show up to English 101, or whatever it's called, the entry-level class, Cole, the lowest level that you can actually get college credits for. And I show up there, I turn in my first paper, and I'll never forget the teacher said, what is this? Is this a rough draft? I was like, oh no, I'm done. This is final. She said, Brett, you're completely illiterate. This is terrible. I wouldn't even accept this as an F. I'm like, whoa, well, what do I do? She said, you need to go to the writing center. What I did not know, what going to the writing center meant was like the smart students that went to really good high schools, they are the teachers in this writing center. And so now you hand your paper to someone who also says, Brett, you're a moron. You can't write. You use bullet points and run on sentences. And I don't even think you understand what a paragraph structure is, which, full disclosure, Cole, as you know, I still don't understand paragraph structure today. So for those of you out there that are freaking out, tell you it's not needed. You can do bullet points for anything and absolutely crush it. So I spend my early college years rewriting papers about 19 times just so I could get it to the level to try to get a 72%. My motto for a little while there, Cole, was C's for degrees. I don't like to brag, but I did walk at ASU. I was 6 credits short of a college degree. I never went back, and I am still 6 credits short of that same college degree. I have the most incredible diploma holder you can possibly imagine. And so as I go through it, I want you to imagine I'm 19 years old. It's 1999, and I am at ASU. And so here's a list of things I didn't do that made me successful. First thing, I actually didn't party in college. I partied for about 6 months, and I will never forget, I showed up at a party, and the guy was 27 years old. Had been there a while, and I said, dude, what are you doing here? You're 27. What are you doing here? He's like, no, I think I'm about to get my degree. I said, man, when did you start? He's like, well, I started, 7, 8 years ago. I'm like, well, are you going on your second doctorate or no? Oh, you're working on your first 4-year degree. Cool. And I realized in that moment is one of the impactful moments of my life. I realized if I'm not careful, I could become that guy and let years slip away. And I realized that he did it just by, he's out partying, he's out doing his thing. And he's just on a road to nowhere. He has no clue what he wants in his future, doesn't understand what he wants, is unhappy with what he has right now, and there's no connectivity. And we've talked about that in other episodes. So the one thing I didn't do, I didn't party. I actually rarely drank from the ages of 19 to 30. It's not that I'm a binge drinker now, but I'll have the occasional cocktail. I'll go out with friends and have drinks. But I actually didn't drink at all. Or hardly at all from age 19 to 30. What did I do? My entire focus was waking up as early as I could in the morning and working till as late as I could. And I know we're in a time today where working hard has been demonized. Like, I need work-life balance and I want to do these other things. I don't know a single successful person in my entire life right now that's really successful that hasn't spent a period or seasons of their life working really, really hard. I get to hang out and be friends with some people that are just some of the most successful people out there in their space. And I don't have a single one of them that says, I'm working the 4-hour work week. I've got a really flexible schedule. I can not come in any day. I just haven't seen that. The people that play at the highest levels are typically putting in the most work. Hard work is not a bad thing. And I think also, why do you have to put in the hard work on something you don't love? I put in probably, Cole, even right now, I bet I'm working 60 plus hours a week. And I don't actually count the hours because it doesn't feel like work to me. Like, this isn't a job. Getting to do this podcast is an absolute privilege that I'm getting to do to share with other people. And hopefully that it impacts them and helps them change their life in a meaningful way. So we're not getting paid to do this, Cole. This is a give back, but this is not something I have to do. I get to do this. And so I go back and I put in the time. What was I doing when I wasn't out drinking? Well, I got up really early and I worked really, really late. My entire process was getting ahead. All right, I did want to let you know, we do have 2 seats available for our upcoming mastermind that is the week of May 6th. And our mastermind's a day-and-a-half event with 150 real estate agents, investors, or entrepreneurs, all around one discussion. It doesn't really matter what business you have. Here's the idea. The idea is that your business is designed to make profit. We help entrepreneurs go make more money, and then we help them do really, really cool things with the money to create passive income so they can go live the lives they want. If you'd love to learn more about those tickets, and if you want to come shadow one of our events, we do have 2 seats. It's the week of May 6th. You can go to bewealthybrett.com, or you can click the link in the show notes and you can get all the information there. We'd love to see you at one of our events. Second thing I didn't actually love the dating scene. I know some people are like, oh, and this is before Tinder and Bumble and whatever the other things are out there, the cool hip dating apps, Cole. I met my girlfriend at the time, wife now, the old fashioned way, like 2 human beings exchanging in a conversation. But I also realized when I went on early dates, I'm like, how do I have a way to measure if I want to continue going on a date with this person? How do I know if I want to be with this person in the future? Do I want to maybe start a relationship and start spending more time together? How would I know? And for whatever reason, I wrote down, this is what I would want in a person and as a partner. And I got really clear, like, what kind of partner are you looking for? Almost think of it like, how would I know if this person if you treated dates like job interviews, not to say that they're job interviews, but if you had that methodology to where you're asking questions, you might get really specific about the questions you want. They could lead to really interesting conversation, whether the date goes anywhere in the future or not, but it allows you to gauge, is this person someone that I'd want to go and spend another date with, to they eventually get a relationship and see some in the future. So one of my questions were, I wanted to figure out what kind of spouse I wanted. And I grew up in a real traditional, my parents have a real traditional marriage. You know, my dad works and my mom stayed at home with the kids, with me. And I liked the way that worked. And so what I realized I wanted in my spouse, if we could afford it, I wanted someone who wanted to stay home, who wanted to really run the house, wanted to be with the kids all the time, and wanted that. And so when I started dating, I'd ask, hey, do you want to have a career? Or, you know, hypothetically, if you had kids down the road, what are you thinking? Where is this going for you? And so in asking that question, what am I doing? I'm seeing if their ideal world lines up with mine. Now, while some people aren't good at telling you what they want, they're really great at telling you what they don't want. And so sometimes there's a better way. Would you not want to do this? Would you not want to work? Would you not want to stay at home? And so asking that. And so when I asked Taylor, I said, yeah, if we could afford this, I would love to be at home. I want to be at home with the kids. I want to donate in the school. I want to donate time in the school. My wife to this day, I would challenge, Cole, anyone out there that I bet in elementary school, my wife has spent more time donating time in the classroom than I would be almost any other mom out there. She is there every single day. It's like I feel like we're on the racing team of the school, and I couldn't love it more. She's doing it to get closer to our kids, to be in there, and she wants to volunteer and be a part of that. And I think that's the highest level of work you could possibly do, right? We don't have her work is way more valuable than mine. There's different energy required, and hers was much more rewarding than mine, right? Get to be in the classroom with our kids. So instead of having time where I'm out dating and trying to find people and partying, I quickly found someone I didn't have to party. And the irony is my wife was wilder in college and I was not. And then today I'm a little wilder and she's not. It's because we've gone like this. We've crossed at some point. And but I didn't have to go out dating. So I found someone that I wanted to be with. I didn't have the partying thing. So what I had was all of this time that I could either spend with her or spend building my skills and building my companies. So from the period of time from 19 to 30, I was on the grind. It was 7 days a week. It was all the time. And I went at it with every possible force I had in my being. Third thing I didn't do, I didn't travel. I didn't get sick and I didn't take time off. It doesn't mean, I want to be really clear here. I'm not blasting getting sick. I'm just saying I see people in our companies today or in other people's companies where their average missed time per year is 3 or 4 weeks between vacation and sick time and time off and other stuff and obligations and personal problems. And I'm not saying that that's all not valid. All I'm saying is for a 10-year period, and even to this day, I've never missed a single day at my office for being sick. That doesn't mean that I wasn't sick, Cole. I had a few days out there, Cole, where I didn't feel great. I had some days where I had a fever. I had some days where I was coughing. And I'm not saying be an Iron Man and it's not just be the toughest person in the world. I'm just saying the difference between the greatest players out there and the ones that aren't great, sometimes they had to do stuff when they didn't feel amazing. I heard a quote once, the difference between the person that gets the gold medal in the Olympics and the person that get the bronze is they trained even when they were hurt or sick. Now, I get it. Someone's going to be out there and say, you shouldn't hurt when you're trained when you're hurt and you shouldn't do it when you're sick. And don't take it that way. Just ask, were there some days that maybe emotionally you didn't want to go to work and you justified that decision with logic and decided to stay home? I could knock off today and that'll be okay. For most of us, right, today, we're not shoveling coal in trains. We're putting our AirPods in and we're either Zooming or we're calling. And so I don't care how bad the earache is, Cole. I've never had an earache that was so bad that I couldn't pick up the phone and call someone, right? So if you eliminate the excuses from your life and say, look, I'm not going to be traveling all the time in my 20s. I'm not saying you don't travel all the time. I'm just saying I didn't do it. I probably didn't go more than like a 3-day weekend, maybe a guy's trip, or I'd take Terry, we go skiing for the weekend and we would be back in it, right? We did not travel. And there was a period of time we were doing this and she looked at me and said, Brett, are we winning? Everyone we know is living better than us. And I said, yeah, because they're buying cars and crap and we're buying houses. We're taking every single dollar we have and we're buying cash flow producing assets. And babe, I said 10 years from now, they won't understand how we did it. 20 years from now, they won't even understand the lives that we have. And now that I'm more than 20 years into it, I can tell you it's really confusing for a lot of my old friends. I think it's really confusing. But I did it by busting my ass. And I want to get clear, it's not a bad thing. Like, hard work shouldn't be judged. Now, if you're sacrificing everything for the work, meaning you're never seeing your spouse because you're working all the time, you don't have a relationship with your kids, you have no long-term relationships, all you care about's that. No, that's terrible, of course. But also the person that never got out of bed and never did anything, that's also bad. I also want to tell you, your friends are going to judge you, your family's going to judge you. Everyone you know is going to judge you. I want you to think about this. If you don't do anything and sit on your couch and you get flabby and lazy and you're just not doing anything cool, everyone's going to judge you for being lazy. And then if you're going to the gym and you're getting jacked and you're reading books, you're working on your skills and you're putting the time and you're grinding, they're going to say, look at this person. All they care about is how they look. So everyone's going to judge you no matter what. Why don't you figure out what you want and go at it with every single thing you've got? And so for me, I decided the one thing that I could control was the amount of effort I put in and the intensity at which I put that in. And I spent my entire time working on time and intensity. The next thing I did, I immediately didn't have kids when I got married. We wanted to have kids. We financially could have afforded to have kids, and my wife would have still needed to work, but we decided to wait. We set a financial bar that if we hit that bar, we believed it based on the math that we had, it would take us 3 years. So after we got married, if we waited 3 years and we were living, very, very inexpensively, again, we're not traveling all the time. We're both working 60, 80 hours a week. I work 7 days a week, and we were putting money away because we wanted to get to a financial position to where we had kids, we wouldn't have stress. Right? We did not want to have that. So we waited for that. And every action that we took was around the goal of getting to where when we had kids, my wife got to stay home, and that was going to be our thing. So there's no judgment if you had kids at a different place. I'm just trying to explain what did I do to get here. The next thing, I didn't buy fancy cars, clothes, dinners, and stuff. All my friends, again, we talked about this earlier, they're all out doing those things. The part that we decided was my wife had a really, really great job. She was making over 6 figures in 2003. And that's Cole, those are $2,003. I want to be clear that a lot of people don't make 6 figures today. She was doing it in 2003. Here's what we decided to do. 100% of her compensation we used to pay our bills, our mortgage, and everything we needed to survive. 100% of my income was used to build the business and primarily to buy assets. Imagine if 100% of the money you made was into buying assets, but you've got to have a lockstep partner that understands that. Right? How many spouses out there are like, yeah, totally, I'll take care of everything. And then you go run like crazy. I don't think a lot of people are into that. For us, that worked perfectly. And it was actually what allowed us to get to where we are today. I'm the one that gets to be on the podcast. My wife will probably be here on a future one if I can ever get her in here. It's not really her thing. She's not a public speaker, and she's just scared to death of talking on camera, even though that there's no one here other than Cole. But I would love for her to share her story, because I don't think a lot of partners today think like she did, which was, look, if I can free you up to go do this thing, you go do it. Or I could stay at home and free her up and she could go do the thing, right? But getting clear on your roles and responsibilities at home might be the key to unlocking the wealth that you're looking for and figuring out how to get your life together. Are you tired of just paying taxes and feel like it's an endless loop where you just pay and pay and pay? I got to be honest, that's exactly how I felt. And I wanted to find a way for the rental properties I was purchasing to take more depreciation. I'd heard about it, that commercial properties do this cool thing called cost segregation, but I couldn't find anybody that would do it on a single family house. So if you're listening to this and you bought a rental property after January 1, 2019, it was actually a little before that the Tax Jobs Act passed. But after January 1, 2019, and you have not done a cost segregation, you should get a free report from singlefamilycostseg.com. They give all the listeners of Be Wealthy Brett 10% off. Go there. They will give you a free proposal. You take that to your CPA. What would be my refund, or what would be the benefit, which would come in the form of a refund back from the government to you? Get that report, see if it makes sense. Go to Single Family Cost Seg. Joe's team will take amazing care of you at singlefamilycostseg.com, and you can use those funds to go out, invest, create passive income, and be wealthy. The next thing, I didn't stop investing in my education. At this point, as we film this right now, I've spent over $1 million just investing into this, right? Well over that number. And that's from books, that's from training, that's from high-end masterminds, that's from private coaches. I am constantly doing it. I have a coach. I've always had a coach. Right now, I think I'm trying to think, Cole, depending on how you I got some weird things I do. I got a points coach. That's kind of bizarre. But I at least have got 2 or 3 full-time coaches that I'm employing that I want to help me get to the next level. Because everything I know in life is taking me to the spot I'm at right now. To get to the next level, I may need a different idea, strategy, or tactic that a coach can see. What does a coach do? They allow you to spot your blind spots. They're like, hey, I've been around that corner before. You got to be careful as you get 3 clicks out. And so I didn't stop investing in my education. I'll go to one of my friends and I'm like, dude, have you read this book? Are you checking out this? What's going on? No, they're like, no, I don't have time for that. Now they're fully caught up on Yellowstone. They got all the episodes of Billions. They're binge watching just a ton of YouTube, Cole. Binge watching just an endless amount of YouTube. But they're not reading any books. And then if you tell someone, hey man, maybe reading books now, maybe not Audible all the time, and you'll get blasted for that too. We make a post out there and I say, hey, Audible's not reading. Listening's not the same as reading. That's a true statement. That's fact. Everyone would agree to that if you read a dictionary. But no, people will get pissed because they don't want to do the work of actually taking a book out. If it's nonfiction and purposeful self-help reading, and some things are charts and graphs, I think it's helpful if you lay the book out, you open it up, you dog ear it, you highlight it, you write down, I want to come back to this, so this is an action item, or this gave me another idea, right? If you really approached reading and learning that there was 3 to 5 ideas that you wanted to take out of that activity, put into an action plan, get into your calendar and start executing, it might change your entire life. So I don't want to go off on a rant, but I want to say education is the key. Again, I couldn't even write an English paper. Today, we're probably in the process of going to write a book, which seems impossible. Someone's totally literate can write a book, but guess what? I can talk into a microphone and they can put that into a paragraph format and we'll figure it out from there. So I didn't stop investing in my education. Next thing is I became successful. I didn't stop the hours. I didn't stop working. I didn't stop putting in the effort to continue to grow. I see people as they have that first level of success and all of a sudden they get that first big check, that first big commission. The first time they get a $20,000 check. And what happens? It gets just erased. It gets vanished right out of their hands into the ether. The universe extracts it because they didn't raise their financial thermostat. They had no model for what would I do if I had $20,000 in my account? What's the purpose of those funds? How do I use it to buy my time back? How do I use it to get ahead? They're not asking that question. And so they also, you see it, I see someone have their record-setting month in sales. What do? They start letting off the gas. Right? They were working 3 hours a day on the phone, just setting all the appointments, doing the appointments afternoon. In the afternoon, they have that record-setting month and they let off the gas only to have their income go back right back where it was. I have always went home and told my wife, I'm a momentum player. I need momentum. Momentum is the key to business, and it's so weird because how you get it, you don't really know. But if you do a lot of hard work and you get a little luck, every now and then you need an ounce of momentum. That first step, that first right thing to go your way, I can leverage just a small amount of momentum into a huge, huge win in business. But it starts with getting that first win. The wins come from doing the activities. And so I never stopped working. I never stopped focusing on the outcome. The work was the work, right? If I've got to make 50 calls a day, it is what it is. And some days I didn't win every single day, but I started measuring my days in a different way. Most people are always focused on the outcome, and I only look at the effort. And I ask myself every single day, to this day when I go home, did I put in the work today to win? Not did I win? Winning's irrelevant. I can't control always the outcomes on a given day. But did I actually put in the right amount of work so that I had the chance to win? Was I actually in the game? I think so many people don't even realize they're not even in the game. They're in the wrong parking lot, driving to a stadium. It's not even for the same sport, Cole. They're totally not in the game. The next thing, so as I said here as a 43-year-old adult male, a lot of my friends, Cole, have hit that 7-year itch in their marriage. And a lot of them, not all, many of them are getting divorced and moving on. And there's a variety of reasons for that. And I understand that 2 people might just not meant to be together. That being said, I think marriage is hard. And for me, what I didn't do is I didn't stop investing in my marriage. Every single day, I look at it like I'm trying out. Now, I married the greatest human of our time. She's hot, she's fun, greatest mom, best wife. Yeah, someone had to be the luckiest person on earth, and it happened to be me. But I never stop investing. Every day I'm trying out to be there. And if we're being really honest, it's probably easier for my wife to find someone really cool than it is me these days, right? Who wants to date a dude with white hair that looks like Raiden from Mortal Kombat? But the deal, that's an old school reference, Cole. It's going to be from the 1900s reference there. But I didn't stop investing, right? I didn't stop going to date now. I didn't start making it fun. You know, my wife said something to me the other day. She's like, babe, do you know that we laugh every single day? And I said, well, first of all, it's because I'm hilarious, right? Obviously, that comes out saying. But no, we're always cracking up and laughing. So find the way to invest in your partner. Find the way. There's a great book on the subject called The 80-80 Marriage. I would encourage every single person to read it. The point of the book is that most people look at a marriage like it's 50-50. You're going to do these things and I'm going to do these things. And the idea in the book was, what if you went to 80% of your job? So you're doing your current role, whatever you think it is, and then you're trying to outkick it. You're trying to go past the effort that's expected and deliver something more. And if you both go do that, I think you're going to find that you have more connectivity. There's a lot more there than you are when you go out and try to find the other person. And I get the opportunity to coach some of the top entrepreneurs out there on a one-on-one basis. And it's not totally uncommon where I'm coaching a guy or girl and they say, hey, I'm having trouble at home. Now that I'm a business coach, I'm not a marriage counselor. But they say I'm having some trouble at home. And I said, well, I've got some thoughts on it. And so this came up one time, and it was a guy that came to me and he said, I'm thinking about, maybe going to counseling, but probably think it just may not work. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. So let's just assume it doesn't work and the dust is settled. And now it's time for you to start going out there and dating someone. And you find, the dream candidate. You've got your dream girl. Walk me through that first date. This guy's like, dude, let me tell you what. I got the best spot downtown. I got the table that's going to oversee the city lights. I got the special server. I know the dish. I know the chef. Afterwards, we're going to go over here. We're going to have some drinks. I'm going to have fire. We're going to go to this spot. I'm going to hear the waves crashing in. This was like the most magical date I'd ever heard. I said, dude, I only have one question. When's the last time you did this with your wife? And I didn't hear anything. And I said, man, why don't you try that this Saturday and see if the plates, spin a little smoother for the next week or so. And then I had him do something. I've had him do this move where it's, why don't you 3 weeks from now on a Saturday, why don't you book a spa day for her and her friend, have a car pick them up, take them over there, and then you take care of the kids, you take care of the whole house. You say, hey, hon, I want to take care of that for you. Again, do that and then see if the plates spin a little sooner. And by the way, the plates spin a little easier. And I'm not saying it has to be some extravagant thing, but just thinking about the other person, man, making a cup of coffee and bring it to them, right? If you go to this 80-80 spot, it can absolutely change the way you're thinking about it. Next thing, I didn't stop investing in my people. If you realize that people are one of the greatest investments you could ever make, and I'm talking about the employees in your company, not just from a financial perspective. If you think about it from that way, that you invest $100,000 in an employee, is it possible that that person working in your company could generate $500,000 in profit for you? Of course, it's absolutely possible. Could they generate $1 million in profit for you? Yes. Could they cost you $500,000 or $1 million? Of course. But done right, beyond the financial things, which I think are overwhelmingly positive, there are other benefits. Getting to build something really cool with great people is what it's all about. But I didn't stop it. As I went in and started investing in my people, when I went to a great training, when I was out spending that $1 million plus that I talked about earlier, investing in here, all of my key people were with me at that. As we're filming this right now, we're about to go to a huge conference and all of my key people are going to that conference with me. Why? So that they get better, so they can enhance their lives and they can live better lives, which is what it's all about. So it's my first ever employee. Her name's Sabrina. I was trying to think, Cole, if I should say her name or not, but I probably said it before. So my first ever employee started as a part-time assistant because I could only afford like $12 an hour for like 20 hours a week. And this would be in 2000, I think we're in 2005-ish, maybe 6 or 7, somewhere in that range. Today, she's the COO of our companies. And really, if we're being super honest, she's my boss. Because if she's not out there doing all the things, I would never get to do this. I don't even know how the vast majority of things out there actually work. I do know, but she's way better at it than me. She's got a skill set and she truly is 1,000 times smarter than me. But my point is I never stopped investing in her. Right? I saw the potential. I believed what I could build, and she went all in on that. And it's been one of the best partnerships at work that I've ever seen. My point is I didn't stop investing in my people. The last part of this, I just didn't stop. You only fail when you quit. And I think people are very, very quick to quit. And so if you just realize that it's all hard, right? Business is actually really simple. People are hard. The minute you hire people or have to deal with other people out there, it's going to be hard. And if you can embrace that challenge and realize that happiness is not something, you're not supposed to be happy 24 hours a day. You're actually going to experience happiness as you're out there in the world where it's hard. And I say that to say, don't quit. You should never stop. And I hope this episode helped you understand what I didn't do. It wasn't meant to brag. It's not meant to be hardcore. I'm not one of those go attack and rip someone. Rah. It's not what this is about. I was just giving you a different way to think about the things I didn't do that worked really well for me to be successful. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What are the things that you didn't do? What did you give up if you're successful that you're glad you did? I'd love to hear it in the comments, because the comment out there can help someone who's thinking about making that decision, who's got their friends that are probably judging them, right? Because as you go do this, you're going to be weird. You're going to be very, very weird. I tell you, the moment you realize you're weird, stop for a minute and embrace it, because the most successful people on this planet are crazily weird. I know it doesn't seem like it, but I'm a weird person. And your friends are going to judge you for that. And you got to realize it's okay, because you're acting different, you're making different decisions. If all of a sudden you start reading more and you're studying more and you're having different discussions when you're out having drinks, and it's not all about the game last night, but it's like, dude, what's the best idea? What are you currently working on that's improving your life? Right? It's funny, when I go to dinner with folks, I'll ask a handful of questions. One of the ones I always ask is, what's the best purchase you've made under $200 in the last year that's improved your life? You go around a room of 10 smart people, you're going to find these $200, sometimes it's a $10 thing, a $130 thing that they've bought that's improved their life, could change everything. And today, Cole, I'm going to tell you my less than $200 thing, which I just got for all my family, by the way. Cole, you're going to need to write this down, because some of you are going to need to get. It is a pillow. It is a pillow from 8 Sleep, greatest company ever. I have their mattress in all my homes. It's a mattress that heat and cools, and that's not a $200 item. But what they do have is a pillow. The 8 Sleep carbon pillow might be the greatest pillow ever. I think it's a $150 pillow, but if you have it for 20 years, you can't amortize your happiness, Cole, because how happy you're going to be when you have a great night's sleep. They are not a sponsor of the podcast, but should be. But this pillow is awesome. So when you go out with people, you're going to have different conversations, but you're going to be judged for that. And so understand it's a part of it, embrace it, and go out there, and it's okay to get a little weird. And so we now go to our Facebook group, our questions from bewealthybrett.com, or in our Facebook group, or you can submit them on our website as well. We'll drop links to both of those in the show notes. The question is, what price point would I lend on my first loan? And I'm assuming it's a hard money loan, because we talk a lot about that here. I would go look at the average investment sales price in your market. So if you look at what price are the properties being purchased at that people are buying for investment purposes. In Maricopa County, our average sales price, as we're filming this today, is probably around $500,000, but the average investment sales price is probably more like $300,000. So my loans today are around $200,000 to $240,000. You might see some markets in the country where the average loan amount might be $150,000, and then if you went to like California, New York, or bigger cities, those maybe go up from there. But I would recommend, if you're in a market, I don't think your first loan should be over $500,000. I would ideally not have that number. I'd love to see something $250,000 or less, and hopefully that's in your market. If you made it this far, you're probably liking our podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you get all of our future episodes as they come out. All right, second question is, where did I go to learn about hard money lending? So our business in our core, I was flipping homes, and I was quick flipping homes or wholesaling homes, and so I got to see people doing hard money lending. So I kind of had access to actually seeing the process. But if I wanted to learn today, there's a number of podcasts out there. I think it's Hard Money Mastermind. We'll put a link into the podcast in the show notes. They've got a great free podcast. I've seen there's a couple other ones I'll try to find too, but I would go there. There's some great books out there on it. We'll try to link to a couple of those in the show notes as well. The other option, we actually did film one. We have a product called Scale to Wealth. If you go to Be Wealthy Brett and submit a form, you could get the information on that. We filmed an 8-week course on how to do hard money lending. And so you could go there if you wanted a version that would be paid. But there are some free options out there as well. Last question. If a bank is offering a 5.3% interest rate with a high yield savings, why would you go anywhere else? Are there risks with just going with a higher percentage bank? Really good question. As long as the bank I would go look at the strength of the bank. And so there's all these ratings out there, but you could research, liquidity, and you just want to make sure that your bank is safe. So they'll give you usually rankings from most safe to least safe. Just make sure your bank's there. I wouldn't want to keep over $250,000 in any account per account holder because you want to make sure you have FDIC insurance coverage. But if you've got a bank paying 5.3%, I would absolutely stay. That number seems high as we're filming it today, so it might only be on a smaller balance, meaning we'll pay you 5.3 for the first $20,000, but everything over that's going to be 4.85. But I've got my current high yield savings accounts are paying just under 5 for everything I'm doing. Now, one option here would be to compare that to treasury bills. So I keep a lot of my savings in treasury bills, which currently are paying around 5.2 on a 30-day. Treasury bill because they're not subject to state income tax. So if your state has state income tax that's significant, think New York, California, Oregon, and you're going to say 5.3% on, let's say both, you would not pay any state taxes on the interest you generate where on a savings account you would. So that's a consideration. I just hold a lot of mine in treasury bills because I don't pay the Arizona 3.9% extra success tax in addition to the regular state income tax. All right, we did have a couple wins that I loved sharing. We had one of our listeners transferred over and got in a high yield savings account paying 5.25. We had someone go out and do the treasury bills, but they actually laddered them where they're picking, say, a 3 month, 6 months, a 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day. They're trying to figure out where the highest rate is. And then if you take a third of your capital and you place it in the 30-day, a third of your capital in the 60-day, and a third in the 90-day. And then as the 30-day expires, you're placing it in the 90-day. So every 30 days, you've got your money expiring and you're getting the 90-day money, the higher interest rate after you go through the first cycle in this example of the first 90 days. And so laddering is really, really smart. And we had someone do a hard money loan, which is just awesome to go see that. I am the biggest fan. And actually did in their Roth, so they're not paying tax. And I'd be curious if they did it through our friends over at Horizon Trust. You can go to maxoutyourretirement.com. If you've got an old retirement account, you can go there. They could help you figure that out so you could do the same thing. All right, and wrapping up, I want to remind you there's a million things that you could do to be successful. I think a better way to think about it is what are you not wanting to be successful? I hope we gave you some great ways to think about that. As always, if you would please subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our content. We want you to get every episode as they come out in real time, and I will see you all back here next week.